Hans Zimmer is one of the most celebrated film composers of all time. Dark Knight, Inception, The Lion King, Gladiator, Interstellar, Last Samurai, Dune, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dunkirk, Batman Begins, and it goes on and on.
Hans, I've seen this room many times on film, in pictures. It's a beautiful space. How important is your space, your environment for being creative?
Hugely important, because most studios I've been to have been built to sort of be intimidating, or they pretend to be hip, but you sort of still know it's a business environment. You know, the clock is ticking. And when they take the clock off the wall, it's even more evidence that there used to be a clock hanging
right,
there. Do you
exactly.
The advantage of this place was people loved talking to each other and coming up with ideas and being honest and creative, and nobody minds hanging out. Nobody knows what time it is, because, you know, nobody knows what country they're in.
Right.
You know? So that was sort of really important, and it's just a place where ideas flow, you know, and people like to be here and people like to hang out, and we have a pretty good wine cellar if you should get a little thirsty. And if you want to break the rules, this is the place to do it. And if you want to follow the rules in comfort, this is the place to do it. The whole complex is pretty big. I mean, this is just my room. But, you know, it's full of people who know how to fix things as well, which I think is really, really important. You know, I was one of the first people to really get into computers and music.
Yeah.
I'm not a big, you know, analog versus digital guy. I'm just going, if it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't care.
You don't care how it's made.
No, I don't care how it's made. I love the way things are progressing. And there have always been people who write beautiful software or who make beautiful hardware. How do I write? I mean, I write by trying to find something new, trying to tell a story, you know, surrounding myself with incredibly talented musicians, people who can give great feel and context to the notes I've clumsily have written. I am a very good synth programmer. I can actually say that. So that's a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I spend days making a sound, and then somebody kicks me and goes, write the notes, you know. and my life has been music from as far as I can remember. I was thrown out of 8 schools because all I wanted to do was play the piano, and I wasn't interested in any of the other stuff. And I was lucky, you know. Yes, I had a period of living in rat-infested places and with a, you know, single coil ring. You put the baked beans on top of it, and that was like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So one of the things I try to do is I try to make my tunes be playable with 1 or 2 fingers.
Interesting.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
If you listen to Time from Inception, it's 2 fingers. The whole tune is 2 fingers. Go wild in the orchestration, go wild with the sounds, etc. But the tune needs to just be honest.
What is your advice for young composers?
Get a real job.
No, you know,
No, that's exactly not the advice I would give them, because everybody gives you that advice. You know, when I walk into a room like a party or something, without sort of where people don't really know me, and Americans have a habit of very quickly asking you, so what do you do? I go,
and what do you say?
I'm a musician. And they go, no, what do you do for a living? And it takes a while before I can persuade them that I can actually make a living at this thing called music.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
No, I don't think musicians retire. Right? I think they get too old to play sometimes. You know, it's like your fingers give out.
It's funny because everyone that I asked that question to says the same thing. Why would you ever retire?
I know. Well, here's the thing. Because it's already built into what we do. We play music, so the playfulness. You know, as a child, you play. So why do you want to stop? You always loved playing. You know, and yeah, sometimes it gets hard, but it's playing music and living a playful life. That's, to me, what it's all about.
It's so nice for you to invite me here. This is really fabulous place. It's such a vibe.
I really think we made a terrible mistake in the late 70s, early 80s with the beige studio, you know. And I don't ever think it sounded that good. It just was harsh. It was hard, you know. It wasn't romantic, you know. It wasn't poetic.
It's interesting because I go into studios when I'm not doing interviews at my studio. I do them at studios because to me that's where musicians feel the most comfortable. Yet I'm always amazed at how cold the studios are vibe-wise. They have no vibe.
You know, they think by being neutral, you can do any music in there. And I think you have to. Everything needs to come with some sort of an attitude, and with some sort of a style, and with some sort of an imprint of personality, and then you can go and do any type of music in there. So, here's a question for you: what's the Hollywood sound? Because I tell you what the Hollywood sound is. It's like Lawrence of Arabia. It's The English Patient. It's it's Star Wars, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's Gladiator. They were all recorded in England.
That's right.
The great Hollywood sound.
The Hollywood sound is English recording studios.
English recording studios with English musicians.
Yes.
Which is, of course, an oversimplification because, you know, once you get to Close Encounters and stuff like this, breathtaking American musicians, you know.
But John Williams always went back.
Yeah, Abbey Road.
Yeah.
You know, Lord of the Rings. You know, as soon as you start labeling these things, the great Hollywood sound, you know, you're doing such an injustice to everything that music is about. Music is about free and different cultures coming together and different cultures playing. And my music is not original. My music is a subtotal of everything I've heard all my life, you know. I love electronic music, and then I love... it's a Duke Ellington quote, isn't it? There are only two types of music, good music and bad music.
Yes.
And I absolutely believe in that. Technology has always been at the service of music. You know, I mean, the violin is a piece of technology.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly when I was doing Interstellar, I learned a lot about the pipe organ, which, to just quote, by the 17th century was, you know, finished in its design, and it was the most complicated machine humans had ever built until the telephone exchange.
Yeah.
You know, and so something which was at the service of music that could be so advanced and so, you know, it sort of was at the service of religion. I am slightly, you know, bending the rules.
Well, music and religion together.
So a lot of stuff you can say about religion, but you got to give it that, you know.
Yeah.
Those Bach things, you know, those Verdi things, pretty great. There's always somebody in the past, and there will always be somebody in the future who you can be a fan of, you know, and you can sort of bow your head and go, that's genius. That's why I love my band. Because Guthrie plays a solo, and the whole band goes, fuck me, that was amazing, you know?
I like it when he's playing and you're just like...
Yeah, exactly. You know, it really is, you know, and Pedro and Tina and stuff, everybody, you know. I love that every time I get this woo, this amazing surprise, this amazing gift of people playing their little socks off in the most brilliant way, and moving me deeply. And it's got nothing to do with that I wrote the stuff, because when they play it, it's not my stuff anymore. It's their stuff. So I think being a composer who's a pretty shitty guitarist and a pretty shitty keyboard player is actually a good thing,
Hans, I really appreciate you spending the time, and
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to see you.
it's so nice to meet you in person. This is great. It's fantastic.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Now, fuck off, everybody.
God.